Hello everyone, welcome to the Capital Intelligence channel. Have you ever just daydreamed about holding that golden ticket? You know, the one with the perfect matching numbers that literally transforms your life overnight, wiping away every single financial worry and securing your happily ever after. Honestly, we all have. But today in this explainer, we're going to dig into some absolutely fascinating and frankly kind of shocking data that reveals what actually happens when average, everyday people suddenly become ultra wealthy. Does a giant pile of cash truly buy you a stress-free life, or does it trigger a completely unexpected set of nightmares? Let's find out.
Okay, so here is our agenda for today. First, we'll look at the sudden wealth curse, then the hedonic treadmill. Next, we'll cover contagious debt and the neighbor effect. After that, we'll tackle the classic lump sum or annuity question, look at tax traps and mistakes, and finally, how to protect your windfall.
Right, let's jump straight into Section 1. The sudden wealth curse.
So before we look at the hard numbers, we really need to understand what experts call sudden wealth syndrome. It's a recognized psychopathological condition where the human brain gets completely overwhelmed by a massive, unexpected financial windfall. Now you might be sitting there thinking, oh please, I could easily handle $50 million. But psychologically speaking, your sense of identity, your closest relationships, and even your daily purpose are thrown into absolute chaos overnight. Our brains just aren't wired to process an exogenous wealth shock of that magnitude without experiencing severe cognitive strain.
And the financial fallout from all that psychological chaos, it is absolutely devastating. Just let this staggering number sink in for a second. 120 plus. That's the number of verified cases of recent lottery winner bankruptcies tracked by GetNugs. We're talking about people who won massive fortunes, set for life, right? And they ended up with absolutely nothing. Zero. It just goes to show that having millions in the bank definitely doesn't automatically buy you financial literacy or long-term security. Actually, scratch that. Having all that cash often accelerates underlying behavioral issues.
Because here's the thing. The exact second people know you have money, the dynamics of literally every relationship you have fundamentally shift. Look at this raw, incredibly direct advice from a user on the r/rich community on Reddit. They said, don't tell friends, strangers, or neighbors about the money. Hell, don't tell uninvolved family. This perfectly captures the immediate paranoia and social friction that comes with hitting the big jackpot. You're instantly dropped into a social pressure cooker where friends, distant cousins, and even complete strangers suddenly feel entitled to a piece of your pot.
Okay, moving on to Section 2. The hedonic treadmill explained.
Now, you might be wondering why that initial jump up and down euphoria fades. Well, it comes down to a well-documented psychological principle called the hedonic treadmill. You see, humans are incredibly adaptable creatures. Whether you win the lottery or suffer a massive setback, you eventually adapt to your new normal and return to your baseline level of happiness. Sure, that shiny new Ferrari feels absolutely amazing on day 1, but by day 100, it's just the car you used to grab groceries. The thrill totally disappears, leaving this void that winners often try to fill with even more reckless spending.
So, how on earth do we beat human nature? Well, to actually sustain happiness, positive psychology research tells us we have to prioritize a few key things. We need to practice daily gratitude, foster meaningful relationships, engage in acts of kindness, and prioritize experiences over just buying more stuff. Practicing mindful enjoyment is what actually keeps you off that hedonic treadmill. If you don't actively work on these internal habits, no amount of external wealth is going to stop you from sliding right back to your original baseline of dissatisfaction. It's wild, right?
Which brings us to Section 3, Contagious Debt, the Neighbor Effect.
Now this is where things get really crazy. Researchers linked to the Federal Reserve Bank of Philadelphia actually looked at the credit outcomes of individuals living in the exact same postal codes as lottery winners. And what did they find? A shocking ripple effect of financial distress. It turns out your lucky ticket doesn't just change your life. When someone wins the lottery, the bankruptcy rates of the people living right next door to them actually go up. No way, right? But it's true.
Think about it like this. As a lottery winner naturally upgrades their lifestyle, maybe they buy a much nicer car, put in a massive pool, or do some crazy home renovations, their neighbors subconsciously attempt to keep up. This triggers a visible, statistical spike in both the number of mortgage accounts and the total mortgage balances in that immediate zip code. The winner's highly visible wealth literally tempts their peers into borrowing heavily against their own homes just to maintain their comparative social status.
And that contagion, it spreads to everyday unsecured debt as well. The study found that just being near sudden wealth visibly drives up the number of bank cards and total credit card balances for those simply living near the winner. Without the backing of a $1 million ticket, the sheer proximity to luxury tempts neighbors into living way beyond their means. The everyday spending habits of the entire neighborhood permanently shift, ultimately leading the folks who didn't win into severe financial distress. It's literally a contagious debt trap.
All right, let's shift gears to Section 4, lump sum or annuity.
Every single lottery winner faces this massive mechanical dilemma the second they turn in their ticket, the payout choice. Here we're looking at taking the massive cash pile all at once versus opting for an annuity. Now, the lump sum gives you immediate access and total control, but as we just saw with those bankruptcy stats, it leaves you highly susceptible to rapid spending and, frankly, terrible impulsive investments. The annuity, on the other hand, that provides a steady, disciplined income stream over decades. It's essentially built-in protection against yourself, ensuring you can't blow the whole shebang in one bad weekend in Vegas.
But hey, logic isn't everything, is it? Look at this hilarious and very practical quote from an online discussion. The user says, "I'm 73. I want to spend it all before I die." It really reminds us that the mathematically correct financial answer often clashes with the reality of human mortality. If you're older, taking the annuity might not make any sense at all. You want to enjoy the windfall while you still can. Personal desires, your stage of life, and your long-term legacy play a massive role in this decision, making it a whole lot more complex than just calculating the best tax rate.
Next up, Section 5, Tax Traps and Mistakes.
Okay, so even if you choose the absolute best payout for your situation, Uncle Sam is waiting. There are huge, hidden traps that can quickly drain a newly minted millionaire's bank account. First off, people drastically underestimate federal and state taxes. But perhaps the most dangerous mistake, especially for those who use their winnings to become self-employed, is failing to understand quarterly estimated taxes. If you don't pay the IRS throughout the year, you're going to get hit with massive underpayment penalties. Plus, ignoring the need for a CPA, falling for predatory investment scams, or leaving your estate plans unupdated, that will quickly turn your amazing windfall into a massive legal nightmare.
Which leads us to our final part, Section 6, protecting your windfall.
So what do we do about all this? If you ever hit the jackpot or, receive a massive inheritance, you need to follow a strict playbook immediately to protect your sanity and your assets. Step 1, maintain complete anonymity if your state allows it. Seriously, keep absolutely quiet. Step 2, build a professional advisory team. Do not try to do this alone. Get a registered financial advisor and a CPA for sure. Step 3, plan strictly for taxes. Set aside that tax money before you buy a single luxury item. And finally, Step 4, develop a personalized long-term wealth strategy. Decide what you actually want your money to achieve in the world rather than just giving in to impulsive spending.
So, we've covered the hidden realities of a massive wealth shock. From the hedonic treadmill to the contagious debt that literally bankrupts neighbors, the data paints a very different picture than the daydream, doesn't it? I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Knowing the profound psychological traps and the potential collateral damage to the people around you, does winning the lottery still look like a guaranteed happily ever after? Or is the enduring value of a well-balanced, purposeful life something that money simply cannot buy? Thank you so much for watching this explainer, and keep learning.